Just a few responses to comments. Cobbler40 says, Farage spouting Kremlin propaganda. Why would that be? Well, because it's there and because it's easy. He also misquotes George Robertson, and this is all about the idea of the EU and NATO expansion caused Putin's invasion of Ukraine. It didn't. Farage is perfectly capable of seeing that Putin is capable of making his own decisions. He concedes that, but then he talks about Robertson, and Robertson didn't actually say this. He said he posited this as a question: is it possible that we might have goaded Putin into his actions? Yes. I think it's not only that we goaded him, I think that we encouraged him by not responding decisively when he invaded Crimea. We should have done. We also were so distracted by Brexit and all that rubbish that Putin thought we wouldn't have a chance of responding. The whole of Europe was tied up in the Brexit mess that we indulged in, and that was very much a part of Farage's initiative. So yes, but to misquote Robertson and to quote a question as a statement is a piece of hocus pocus. I've dealt with it in much longer post, which should come up shortly anyway. Ed Mirth says about James Cleverly, we know he's a liar. Yes, he really called that town a shithole, and Mr. Military Man didn't even have the courage to stand by his own words. Absolutely. So Ivan Connolly says there's a money trail from Russia to Farage, £430,000 from Russian media in the year before sanctions. I'm not sure how true that is. In my experience, Russians very rarely pay when they're connected to the state. And also Stevie B says, is the trans issue the most important subject on the table in the run-up to the general election? I think not. There are more important things that we should be discussing. Actually, I think it is important. I don't wish to press the woke button in any way, but I think it is important to respect people's self-identification. I think it's also important to protect people in a vulnerable situation. So whether that is protecting people, protecting women in women's only spaces, or whether it's protecting vulnerable individuals who are going through transition, we should be able to do both. And it's not a binary choice, either or. It should be this and, both and. And I find the hostility of this debate so appalling, and it's about a misunderstanding of the development of language, a misunderstanding of language, and I find it ironic that so much of this debate is being pushed forward by somebody who claims to be an author. But then, as we know, many authors who write one little series are not able to write another. Philip Pullman is a really good example, and JKRowling is another good example. They've both written one fantastic series. JKR is the Harry Potter series, and Philip Pullman is the thing about the animals. Oh gosh, his Dark Materials, brilliant. But the rest of the rubbish is unreadable. And Philip Pullman's attempts to produce a sequel to his Dark Materials has failed, and J.K. Rowling's attempt to produce a sequel to the Harry Potter stuff and her screenwriting career is a bit of a non-starter. The first Magical Creatures book, first Magical Creatures film was very good. Oddly, I saw that in a Russian cinema, but the second one was unwatchable, and I don't think there's been a third one, which doesn't surprise me greatly. And it's about an ability to sustain that series. Very difficult to write a good, gripping, and popular series. Well done, Rowling and Pullman, but that's as far as it goes. And Pullman was chomping at the bit, getting very excited about the Oxford comma. That's a nonsense as well. And yeah, simply because you've had a little bit of exposure doesn't make you an authority on everything else.